5 friends, eager for adventure, embarked on a journey. Their destination, a remote cabin nestled deep within Ravenswood. The woods were dense, sunlight barely filtering through the thick canopy. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. A sense of isolation settled over them as they ventured deeper. The cabin stood silent, shrouded in an eerie stillness. Its wooden walls were weathered and gray, windows boarded shut. An unsettling feeling hung in the air, a disquiet that made the hairs on their necks stand on end. Despite the unease, curiosity pulsed within them. They unlocked the creaking door, stepping into the unknown. Inside, dust covered every surface. Cobwebs hung from the rafters and the air was thick with the smell of decay. Despite its forlorn state, the cabin possessed a strange allure. A fireplace dominated one wall, promising warmth and comfort. They decided to stay, hoping to uncover the secrets hidden within Ravenswood's embrace. The friends unpacked their bags, their laughter echoing through the empty rooms. They lit a fire, its cheerful crackle dispelling some of the gloom. As darkness fell, they huddled around the flames, sharing stories and laughter. The cabin, once shrouded in silence, was now alive with their presence. However, unknown to them, something else stirred in the shadows. The first night, a strange sound pierced the silence. A whisper, soft and indistinct, seemed to come from the walls themselves. They dismissed it as the wind playing tricks, but the whispers continued, growing bolder each night. They seemed to swirl around them, unseen, unheard by some but undeniable to others. Fear began to creep in, replacing their initial excitement. They huddled closer, their eyes darting nervously around the darkened cabin. The whispers seemed to mock their fear, growing louder, more insistent. They checked the windows, the doors, searching for a source, but found nothing. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares plagued them, filled with shadowy figures and chilling whispers. Each morning they looked at each other, a silent question in their eyes. Was it their imagination? Or was something truly haunting Ravenswood? They tried to rationalize the whispers, attributing them to the settling of the old cabin or the wind whistling through the trees. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. The whispers felt too real, too deliberate. Something was amiss in Ravenswood and it was closing in.
The whispers. They're not just the wind, there's something here with us.
One evening as they sat around the fire, a cold spot settled over the room. The temperature plummeted, a chill that seeped into their bones. Then they saw it, a translucent figure shimmering in the dim light. It stood by the fireplace, its form indistinct, its eyes hollow and dark. Panic seized them. They scrambled back, their hearts pounding in their chests. The ghostly figure remained motionless, its presence radiating an aura of sorrow and despair. It seemed to be reaching out, its spectral hand extended towards them. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the apparition vanished. The cold spot dissipated, and the room returned to its normal temperature. But the image of the ghostly figure remained etched in their minds, an undeniable proof of the supernatural. Fear now ruled their waking hours. The whispers continued, growing louder, more menacing. They felt trapped, haunted by the ghostly figure and the unseen entity that whispered in the darkness. Ravenswood was no longer a place of adventure, but a prison of fear.
Did you see that? There's no denying it now. We're not alone here.
Determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting, they began to research the history of Ravenswood. They scoured local libraries, poring over old newspapers and historical records.
They discovered a tragic tale, a story that sent shivers down their spines. The cabin, they learned, belonged to the Ravenswood family, who had met a gruesome end within its walls.
The father, driven by madness, had murdered his wife and children before taking his own life. The details of the tragedy were chilling, mirroring the ghostly apparitions and the whispers that haunted their nights.
Armed with this knowledge, they began to piece together the puzzle. The whispers, they realized, were the tormented souls of the Ravenswood family, trapped within the cabin, their voices echoing through time.
They felt a profound sadness for the family, their laughter replaced by a somber understanding. The haunting was no longer a source of terror but a manifestation of a deep, unyielding sorrow. They knew they had to help the Ravenswood family find peace. Driven by a mix of fear and compassion, they delved deeper into the Ravenswood tragedy. They learned of the family's patriarch, Elias Ravenswood, a respected businessman who had succumbed to a crippling illness. The illness, they discovered, had twisted his mind, leading him down a path of madness and despair. His wife, Eleanor, had tried to help him, but her efforts were in vain. Elias's condition worsened, his paranoia and delusions growing stronger with each passing day. He became convinced that his family was plotting against him, that they were the source of his suffering. One fateful night, consumed by his madness, Elias snapped. He turned on his family, his love twisted into a murderous rage. He took the lives of his wife and children, their screams swallowed by the thick walls of the cabin. Then, Overcome with guilt and despair, he took his own life. The tragedy shook the community, the gruesome details whispered in hushed tones. The cabin, once a symbol of family and happiness, became a place of horror, avoided by all who knew its dark secret. The Ravenswood family, their lives brutally cut short, were left to wander the halls, their sorrow echoing through the years. Understanding the Ravenswood family's pain, the friends decided to help them find peace. They gathered in the main room, standing before the cold fireplace where they had seen the ghostly figure.
They spoke to the spirits, their voices filled with compassion and empathy. They acknowledged the family's suffering, their pain, and the injustice of their fate.
They offered words of comfort, assuring the spirits that they were heard, that their story was remembered. They promised to tell their tale, to ensure that the Ravenswood family would not be forgotten.
As they spoke, the whispers seemed to soften, the chilling tone replaced by a mournful sigh. The cold spot by the fireplace dissipated, a sense of peace settling over the room.
The friends felt a shift in the atmosphere, a release of tension that had gripped the cabin for so long. They continued to speak, sharing stories of their own lives, their hopes, their dreams.
They wanted the Ravenswood family to know that life went on, that joy and laughter still existed in the world. They hoped to offer a glimmer of light in the darkness that had enveloped the family for so long.
As dawn broke, they packed their belongings, preparing to leave Ravenswood. The cabin felt different now, the oppressive weight of sorrow lifted. The whispers, once a source of terror, were now barely audible, a faint echo of the pain that had once permeated the walls. They stepped out into the morning light, the forest no longer menacing, but serene and beautiful. They took one last look at the cabin, its weathered walls holding a century of sorrow and pain. They whispered a final farewell to the Ravenswood family, a promise to remember their story. As they drove away, they felt a sense of closure, a feeling that they had played a part in easing the suffering of the Ravenswood family. They knew that the spirits would never truly leave the cabin, but they hoped that they had brought them some measure of peace. The Ravenswood cabin remained, a silent sentinel in the heart of the woods. Its tragic history would forever be etched in its walls, a reminder of the darkness that can consume even the most loving of hearts. But thanks to the compassion of 5 friends, the whispers in the woods now carried a hint of peace, a testament to the enduring power of empathy and understanding.